Hello, YouTubers. Joe here of Joe and Paul. Paul's not home yet. It's about 2:50 on Thursday, March 28th. Now, my plan of attack here for the rest of the afternoon is to watch the launch of this new crew to the space station here. The TV coverage starts at 3:30, so I should be done with all this by then. Well, one hopes. From the Baikonur site there in Kazakhstan. As Borat reminds us, Kazakhstan is the greatest country in the world and all the other countries are run by little girls. That's great fun to watch that Borat stuff about Kazakhstan. In any case, that's where they launch. That's whence they launch, and so I'll be watching that. And then they dock tonight. Deo Volente at well, they say 10:32 Eastern time. And then, of course, the TV starts at 9:45 Eastern time. So then the hatch opening will be a little bit after midnight. Well, on Friday the 29th. So I hope I can make it that long. We did it the last time. Boy, that really wrecks me the next day to stay up that late and do that kind of stuff. But takes me back, I mean, you're watching, it's space, it's neat. Yeah. So anyway, so that's the plan of attack for later today. Now, today's story revolves around an ampicillin fire. Now, Paul had to go to work today, and he leaves. Well, he starts at 8, and he leaves around 7:20, 7:25. It's only a mile and a quarter down the road, but you got to get squared away and everything, and you have to clock. It's one of these things you have to clock right in. So essentially, you have to be there a fair amount of time beforehand, so you can sort of hold yourself in readiness to clock in, and because you can't clock in ahead of time. And you don't want to clock in late either, do you? Because if you clock in late, then they say you're late. It's not quite a catch-22, but it's getting close to it. But that's probably the same. That's every job I've ever heard people who have to do that. They tell me the same thing. So he's up, he's dressed. I sort of wander in out of the chemo chair there, and I'm taking my blood pressure stuff, and I'm making some tea and boiling some water. And I like to do it in 2 stages, that way I can get more bang for my buck out of the tea bags. Because I'm cheap so-and-so, as I've said before. And so I've got this little diverticular flare-up, a little diverticulitis, well, osis that moves into itis from time to time. And they've been fairly quiescent for about 4 months, but when it flares up, I take about a week and a half, 2 weeks of Ampicillin, and that calms it down. And so that sort of, squares the kingdom away for another, 2 to 4 months. So I'm taking this Ampicillin. Well, I've got a big jug of this stuff that I got, and then I'll fill in the smaller bottle that I use on a day-to-day basis and keep in the cupboard. Now you're gonna have to excuse me for just a moment. Like it or not, the trees are coming into pollen here. The maple trees are starting to do their pollen thing or budding, and when that happens, old Joe here starts to drown. But that's the way it goes. So So I needed to refill my sort of, in the cupboard bottle. So I bring out the big bottle of, 500, and I fill it in, and then I leave it on the countertop while I'll just my water's coming to boil for my tea. So, oh well, what do you do first? What do you do? Well, I tried to pick up the big bottle, which still had the lid off, and it's early. I'm clumsy, guys. I'm clumsy. I mean, I've had this big see this divot. That's not the only thing it did to me, guys. It kind of banged me around inside here. So I'm a little clumsy, more than I've always been clumsy. And so bottle of 500 goes over outside. There's about 35 of these capsules go onto the electric stovetop. Well, that produced quite the quite the smoky conflagration. Well, I mean, it's like, whoa, it's like toxic fumes, and so Paul opened the back door, propped it open, and I redirected the heater fans and opened up the side window, and we got a fan in the window, and got the towels that were flapping away, and of course then the fire, the smoke tech starts screaming. Well, at least the batteries are good, we know that. So that was okay. I mean, that got under control very quickly, and then then he had to go off to work, and then I cleaned off the burner and waited for everything to cool down, and took a body count of the dead pills. That's about $10, or maybe $11 worth of drug. That's now no more. But that happens. I mean, it could have been worse. I mean, Well, first of all, if the dog's been alive, they would have just been going nuts. I mean, just hell, I was going nuts. So. But it still smells like I've been in one of these plastic plant fires. I mean, I've had the back door open all day. I've had the heater fan blowing, the big heater, the 4,000 watt heater. I've had the sort of circulating air heater running all day. I've had fan in the window. I'm sitting here in front of a smaller heater just so I can stay kind of warm while I've got the house opened up. And it still stinks. It's not as bad, although I've noticed now that I'm sort of, oh gosh, a little low-grade nauseated and all that. But, well, that'll remedy itself. But, it's not everybody that starts their day with an Ampicillin fire on their stove. Well, there's always something, as they say. Now, this obviously would be a good place for me to stop, but if anybody who ever watches any of my stuff knows, it's very hard for me to stop. Now, I had pondered trying to upload something yesterday on this topic, and I'll try not to be too tedious about it. Well, there's two components to this. Well, first of all, I got a call today from one of the women in our Bible group and who in our prayer group, and so she told me about somebody that she wanted me to send out. She used to be sort of the prayer group coordinator on the computer, and then she wanted to have me take that over, and I did. She was sort of like second in line to the woman that started this. Now dead, regretfully. So, it's the communion of saints. You're sort of in this line of communion of saints. So she gave me this name, and we talked about some of the folks that had been on the list, and we were praying for, and we'll update here. So then later after we got done off the phone, I sent this out to the group. But then we got talking about the cancellation of the Easter Vigil. Now, you'll notice, anybody goes back to my channel list, you'll see that there's 2 videos that deal with that. One's about 16 minutes long, and one's like 20 plus minutes long. And dealing with this cancellation of the Easter Vigil, well, that's not so much germane to what I'm going to talk about here in a moment, but since I had not talked to her about that at the time, I was very interested to hear her views on this, and they seemed to be very congruent with mine. Okay, that's fine. So I sent her the links to those videos. She's about 12 years older than me, and I'm 61, so I don't know. I mean, I never thought I'd be as much into this YouTube video stuff as I am, but I am. So we'll see what she has to say. Now, the thing I will try to, it's not a hobby horse. It has to do with truth. It has to do with truth. On Wednesday, yesterday, at Bible, we'll call it Bible group. We won't call it Bible study. Now, we've been sort of small group here the last 3 or 4 weeks because people have been sick. I mean, the various influenzas and agues and flus have been felling these folks. I mean, we've had, people have had pneumonia. They've been in the hospital. Now, fortunately, they haven't been on the vent. The big blue box. I can sing you my ventilator song. Well, I'm not going to do that right now. I might do that later. Well, in another video, even maybe. But nobody's been in the ventilator, but they've got pneumonia. And of course, you get some of these folks in their 70s and 80s. That have pneumonia. I mean, you have sort of like 6, 8, 10 week, 12 week. Feel bad and all. And of course, as this woman pointed out today, she had visited another woman who had this problem and a worse problem. Now, the woman that I was speaking with had also had a problem. She'd cough so hard she had these hemorrhages, bruising, purpura, if you will, around her chest. And it's these folks get kind of fragile, when they get up there, and first of all, they kind of beat themselves to death and doing the work of the Lord, and wow, I mean, I hope I have, 1/3 the strength they have if I ever make it up that far. Well, anyway, so we're small. So the only other guy that regularly comes was there, and then this woman who is our sexton was there, and this other woman who had started coming to this church I go to. She and her husband started coming 2 weeks after I started going, and I started going on Palm Sunday, 1995. And then our assisting priest came in, and then our rector sort of made a papal wave appearance because his son was off school and with him, and he hadn't worn a jacket, and he was cold, so he wanted to go home and get a jacket. So took him got a jacket. But we were talking about, we were doing Isaiah 65. We were doing 1 Corinthians 15 and John 20, 1 to 18. Now, Isaiah 65 is the lions will lie down to the lamb and the ox will eat straw. Well, the ox will eat straw, obviously, but the other animal will eat straw. And nobody's going to hurt on my holy mountain. That's fine. That's good. That's good. And then, of course, Corinthians 15 is Paul's magnificent defense and explanation and explication. Explication probably would be the better word, of the resurrection, both of Christ and of us in the future. And of course, by that time, our chief Paul debunker, our assisting priest, arrived. I don't understand this. This is very... Yes, of course it's hard. It's St. Paul. He's very, very difficult. So, persist. Apply. Don't just say, oh, I can't understand this. I don't understand this. Come on. Work at it. Work at it. Work with him. I think part of the problem is it's working with him. If it had been St. Pauline, I don't think we'd be hearing nearly the amount of crap we hear about this. Well, in any case, so finally, I've learned to keep my mouth shut. Now that's moderately hard to imagine, isn't it? But that's true. I try to keep my mouth shut. I do try. Doesn't always work, but I do try. So. I said, well, what do you think, Joe? I said, I think 1 Corinthians 15 is magnificent. And then I gave him the background. I said, well, I'm surprised they don't know this, or they act as if they don't know this. I mean, I said, the 1662 prayer book that's the reading in the burial office. They don't have in my Father's house are many mansions. They don't have Romans 8. It's like, that's the reading in the... And I said, I've already told my son the default position for me, if I don't, leave any further written instructions, is, you take the 1662 prayer book and you insist that you get to read it over my remains as they're thrown down the big common hole there out there inside church. They've got one of these common vaults for ashes. They have private niches too, but the cheapest version is the common hole, and so let's do the common hole. It's only $200. You can't beat that, can you? So people are making appropriate noises, and that's fine. I find it so incomprehensible. I don't understand. Okay, you don't understand. Well, if you don't understand it, that's fine. Keep giving it a shot. Maybe you will. Not understanding it is very different from not agreeing with it. Now, as it turns out, there are also, people don't agree with it. All right. So I put up with that. Well, then we get to John 20, 1 to 18. It's Mary Magdalene, going to the tomb and seeing first it's Peter and John running to the tomb. That's Mary Magdalene going to the tomb and seeing the angels in the tomb. And then turning around, seeing Jesus, and then being told to go tell the other apostles. And, it's just such a sublime account. If you were to stage this with, you wouldn't have to add any stage directions because they're already implicit in the text. It's there. And, Well, and then so then you have the guy, God bless him, he went to seminary for like 7 years before his wife told him he had to get a job. Now, this was in like the late 50s and early 60s. And this guy's 82, 83. He's got a couple 3 degrees, master's degrees. I mean, this is not a stupid thing. He taught Greek at a local seminary here. And he's the guy that runs around with the Good News Bible, this kind of paraphrase, 6th grade level stuff. And he says, well, let's have a reality check here about the gospel. He says, John didn't really write this. Well, so I bring in my authorized version, better known as King James, an NRSV, okay, which is very reasonable. It's very reasonable insofar as the major prophet translations, because it's very, very close to the Hebrew, and they follow the Hebrew structure of the poetry. And then I have I have a thing called the Orthodox Study Bible, which is put out by St. Athanasius Seminary in California. Orthodox Theological Seminary. And I do that for the commentary. Now they have an English translation of the Septuagint, or Septuagint, if you will. The first new true English translation since the Brenton in the mid-1800s. And then they use the new King James, which is a copyright to Thomas Nelson. And it closely follows the actual authorized version, King James. But they on some of the more obscure 17th century word usages, they use the more 21st century word that people would be familiar with. But the order, and you read it and it sounds almost as beautiful and as the original authorized version. And I've got my notebook, and I carry a folder for the partners in prayer group that we have, and I keep this in a box. I have a little box because it's in the rain especially, you don't want to have this stuff getting things. So I put the folder and the notebook, and then the NRSV, and then the Orthodox Study Bible, and then this. I have this really tiny pocket. Well, it's not pocket. Well, yeah, it is. It's like you can put it in your shirt pocket. This King James Bible. So I put this on. I didn't throw it down. I didn't make a scene. But I'm thinking, how can I get out of here? Because it was only by 11:40, and we sort of usually carry on till noon. And I'm thinking, well, how can I tactfully just leave? Now, when the dogs were alive, I could say, well, the dogs need me. Dog's sick. Dog needs me to get home. But the dogs are dead. So, and I don't like to lie. I mean, I've spent a lot of my life lying. I don't want to lie. One of the key ways I view trying to approach the boundary layer between the heavenly and where the earthly approaches the heavenly is not to lie. Speak the truth in peace and love. Do deeds of truth in peace and love. Do deeds of love in peace and truth. So I just sat there, and I can't say I was grinning. I'm sort of. I probably looked worse than I'm demonstrating right now, because I've been told that my face betrays every fleeting thought that goes through my head, and I imagine it does. That's okay. because at least the thoughts I'm having are true. If they can't handle it, then there it is. Anyway, so I vowed I wasn't going to do this, but I did it because it's just so distressing to see otherwise really educated people, and these people believe. These people are not these people aren't one of these. Well, I don't know. There might be one that will doubtful on the resurrection. The reality of that, it's hard to say. I will say one of our participants, after hearing the good news Isaiah read, she says, well, it really isn't beautiful, is it? You just lose the beauty of the poetry, don't you? And of course, you do. Oh, you do. It's awful. It's atrocious. Now, I don't generally like to do this, but for this, and also we need to think about this, I'm not one of those people that always wants to try to take the sting off the truth. But it occurs to me that this man, he does a lot of work with these prisoners, and he goes up and he talks to them about Christianity and their life, and getting their life straightened around. And it occurs to me that, maybe some of these prisoners don't have quite the reading level that we do, or I do, or the people in the room do. And that this, as far as getting the ideas across, that makes it more accessible to them. Okay. There. All right. But that doesn't mean he has to bring it down to the Bible group that because this is, we're not 6th grade reading level. If you get 8 people around that table, you've got about 16 postgraduate degrees in there. So that's kind of an insult, I think, to subject us to that kind of grotesque nonsense. Well, there, I've had my say. Now I'm going to shut up, and I'm going to get ready to go watch this launch from Baikonur. So, well, before I say bye-bye, YouTubers, I will say that we've not seen the swan here in the last several days. So there's that. And let's see, now Paul's work today, and then he's off Saturday. That's like a day off. But then he gets his week's vacation. Finally, after his 2 years, he gets his week's vacation, and he'll go back to work then the Tuesday, not the Tuesday after Easter, but the Tuesday after that, Tuesday after Easter. So we'll have some time here. Who knows what mischief and nonsense we may get up to. I dare say we'll be making some videos here. So, alrighty now. Bye-bye.